First, we'll take a look at the relationship between Akaza and Doma and why Akaza can't challenge Doma. First, remember when Akaza complained to Muzan? He was complaining about the telepathy. Doma is an upper rank 2 while Akaza is an upper rank 3. If a demon outranks another demon, they can talk to them using telepathy. So Doma can talk to Akaza using telepathy. But it was starting to get annoying, so he went to Muzan to complain about it. In the fan book, it said this was the first and only time Akaza criticized a rule Muzan made. But I was a bit confused. Why did he go to Muzan instead of Doma? If he wanted him to stop, why not just challenge him to a duel? If he wins, he'll be able to outrank him and his problems would go away. And in the upper rank gathering, Doma says to his face, he could challenge me, but he'll never beat me. Why did he let him talk to him like this? He could have just challenged him to a duel and beat him to take his place. So why didn't he? Is he afraid of him? But that doesn't really add up, because he once challenged Kokushibo, who's an upper rank 1, so there has to be another reason why he couldn't step up to him. Having said that, let's think about those Akaza cannot fight. After what he went through when he was a human, he can't attack women. So, if Domon is a woman, then maybe that's why. But honestly, I think that's a reach. First off, Doma doesn't look like a woman. His body is pretty big too. But remember the hand demon? Sometimes when humans turn into demons, their gender can get swapped out. And in the fan book it said Doma was born with tsurubami white hair, which is very rare. Tsurubami is an old Japanese word for chestnut. And when we think of chestnut, who comes to mind? Inosuke. Inosuke is always trying to hand out chestnuts, and he calls the Kasugai crows Donguri, or chestnut maru. So if Doma has something to do with Inosuke, remember Inosuke is a man who looks like a woman, so maybe Doma is a woman who looks like a man. I guess it's possible, but honestly I don't think that's enough to conclude that Doma is a woman. At the end of the day, I think he's a man. But then, why can't Akaza challenge him? I couldn't think of anything else at first, but then I remembered something. Doma only eats women. This is because women are more nutritious, giving him more strength. But Akaza doesn't eat women. He actually avoids eating human as much as possible. He's trying to get strong strictly through training. But what if he had challenged Doma to a duel and he won? If he wins, that means he has to absorb Doma. If he absorbs Doma, Akaza will be stronger than ever. But that means he'll be taking advantage of all the women Doma killed. That's what it means to absorb Doma. He's trying to get stronger without eating women, so if he beats Doma and absorbs him, it'll all be for nothing. So maybe that's why he can't challenge him to a duel, no matter how annoying he gets. But you might be saying, hold on, when Akaza lost to Kokushibo, he didn't get absorbed due to Kokushibo's special request. So that means maybe he could have done the same for Doma when he beat him. Just say he doesn't want to absorb him. But keep in mind that that was an exception. Muzan liked Kokushibo and Akaza, so he let them be, but there's no guarantee that he'll let them do the same. It'll be entirely up to Muzan. And I'm sure most of the demons realize this already, but it says in the fanbook, Muzan doesn't like Doma. And Doma? He doesn't have any extraordinary abilities either. He's good in combat, but that's about it. So if he lost to Akaza, Muzan will probably force Akaza to absorb him to make him stronger. And maybe Akaza realizes that. That's why he can't challenge Doma. Also, I'm sure you've heard of this discussion before, but did Akaza and Doma ever get in a blood battle? Doma currently holds upper rank 2, but who was there before him? Was it Akaza? Did Doma replace him in a blood battle, or was it always like this from the beginning? Personally, I don't think they've ever been in a blood battle before. According to the fan book, it says Doma surpassed him to get his rank. If he fought him for it then, it would have said something like he defeated him. And Doma once said he can't be happy that I got promoted first. This leads me to believe that at some point, neither of them attained the upper rank 2, but then Doma beat him to it. And in the fanbook where it talks about the blood battle, it only talks about the battle between Kokushibo and Akaza. It says nothing about the battle between Akaza and Doma. But on the other hand, during the meeting, Doma said to Akaza, "You got stronger again." But does that mean they've been in a fight before? That's one way to think about it. But in the world of Demon Slayer, you can sense how strong your opponent is. So when you're at their level, maybe they can tell how strong their opponent is even if they've never fought them before. Anyways, going back to the point I made earlier, it says he surpassed him in the fanbook, so I don't think they were in a battle. By the way, Kokushibo, who Akaza is about to challenge, he's probably eaten women before, so why was Akaza okay with this? My guess is Muzan thinks very highly of Kokushibo, that's obvious. And when Kokushibo beat Akaza, he let Akaza live when Kokushibo asked him to. So even if Akaza had won, I think Muzan would have done the same. If it was Doma, the chances of that happening would be slim to none, but with Kokushibo, it's very possible. Or maybe Akaza didn't care about all that since he knew he'd be at the top if he took out Kokushibo. Personally, I don't think it was about the rank. He wanted to beat Kokushibo. Next, I'll talk about the relationship between Kokushibo and Akaza. Why is Akaza so obsessed with Kokushibo? I think it has something to do with the time when he was still a human. He grew up in a poor family, he had to commit crimes to feed his father, and every single time he had to fight samurais. So from Akaza's perspective, samurais were his enemies. It was their fault their family was suffering so much. It was their selfish laws that put him in this awkward position. So this was personal to him. He could not lose to a samurai. And Koyuki and Keizo, who meant a lot to Akaza, they were killed with the sword as well. And the fighting technique Keizo taught him, he only uses his hands, nothing else. Maybe that's why he didn't absorb the other demons. He wanted to take out Kokushibo, the strongest samurai, using only his hands. Maybe he promised his mentor Keizo that he'd do this. That's why he was so obsessed with Kokushibo, the sword-wielding samurai. And the Hashiras of the Demon Slayer Corps, they all use swords as well, so maybe that explains his obsession with them. If you think about it, he's only interested in those who use swords. For him, it wasn't just about strength. It says in the fanbook, Akaza wasn't interested in Muzan at all. And the same with Doma. He had a lot of power, but Akaza didn't care. Muzan and Doma's strengths? They didn't achieve that through tough training like he did. They may be strong, but to him what they had wasn't real strength. Remember what Rengoku-san said? Strength isn't just about physiques. Akaza knew this, and that's why he wasn't that interested in Muzan or Doma, and his obsession with the sword, the scene where he broke Tanjiro's sword into pieces, we can tell he was very angry, but maybe it was more than that. Now let's look at things from Kokushibo's perspective. I think he was very special to him, like a little brother. Kokushibo's been challenged to a blood battle 3 times in total, but when he fought Akaza, that was the only time he asked Muzan to bend the rules. Clearly, he means a lot to him. And I think he felt very comfortable having him around. Akaza had true strength. He had real power, but it wasn't enough to surpass him, and he knew that. Maybe that's the kind of little brother he wanted. That's why he let him live. It says in the fan book, Kokushibo was born during the Sengoku era, so he was more than familiar with the idea of Gekkokujo. So he was always on the lookout for demons underneath him. So why would he let someone like Akaza live? I mean, he tried to take him out and replace him. Normally, you'd think he would do anything to get rid of him. So the only explanation is he had strong feelings for him. And when he found out Akaza had been defeated, he said, "I thought he was supposed to defeat me." Akaza always wanted to take out Kokushibo, so you can tell that he truly cares about him. These two, they had something special, if only they weren't demons. If Kokushibo, I mean Michikatsu's brother, was Hakuji, maybe he wouldn't have ended up here. Hakuji was very loyal to his family. What he expected of his brother Yoriichi, he wanted him to be like Hakuji. And most of all, he didn't want to see him become stronger than him. He was the oldest son in the family, so it's understandable. But Yoriichi can't be blamed here. He didn't ask to be born into this. He had struggles of his own, and it goes without saying that he suffered a lot as well. Now, moving on to our last topic, the relationship between Doma and Kokushibo. When Doma and Akaza were fighting, Kokushibo only yelled at Akaza. He wasn't playing favorites or anything, though. Doma simply outranked him. Kokushibo lived through the Sengoku era, so my guess is rank meant a lot to him. If your superior tells you to do something, you do it. Simple as that. If you don't like it, rank up. That's why he yelled at Akaza but said nothing to Doma. This may seem unfair at first, but it's almost as if he had no interest in Doma. And I think this is who he really is. Like I said before, he was always on the lookout for demons beneath him to avoid being overthrown. He had no intentions of making friends with the other demons. So from his perspective, maybe Doma was just one of the many. He wasn't even that interested in him. But one question remains. If he was on edge about being overthrown, maybe he should have been more worried about Doma. I mean, he was an upper rank too. But then those are just numbers. Maybe he knew that Doma would never be able to beat him. So, to sum it up, we talked about why Akaza never challenged Doma to a battle, even though he was really annoying. My guess is he couldn't absorb him. He didn't want his powers, which he got from eating countless women. But, one last thought. I can't believe Muzan let him live. I mean, think about it. He complained about one of the rules Muzan made. I guess it just goes to show how much he likes him. And maybe he was annoyed by Doma too. Perhaps he felt some kind of sympathy towards him. According to the fan book, Muzan's ability to feel empathy is slim to none. So if he really felt sympathy for Akaza, then I guess Doma was just that annoying. But personally, I like Doma. He's a great villain, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. And he goes full out in the movie. We'll get to see him go after the Demon Slayer core like never before. Anyways, can't wait for the movie. That is all for today. See you in the next video. That's all for now. For more Demon Slayer theories, please like and subscribe for more videos. See you soon.